is law. We'll define law as a rule that is created and enforced through governmental institutions. Let's look at reasons for having this law. What are the reasons? Why do we have laws? The first one is law exists for 5 basic reasons. Law exists for 5 basic reasons. One, the half principle. That law is to protect people from being harmed by other person. Now, it's there to protect an individual from being harmed by another person, which is the harm principle. The second one says parental principle. Law is used to prohibit self-harm, abuse of children, and disadvantaged person. Is used to prevent harm to people. Law is also used to protect individuals from other persons. Now that's morality principle. We have 5 principles: the half principles, the parental principles, the morality principles, the donation principles, the status principles. Those are the 5 principles. I've explained the half principle. That is, the law is there to protect an individual from being harmed by other persons. I believe you can see my screen now. The second one says, which is the parental principle. Law is used to prohibit self-harm, abuse of children, and disadvantaged persons. The third one is the morality principle. Law is to protect people from being harmed by other persons. The fourth one is parental principle. Law is used to prohibit self-harm, abuse of children, and disadvantaged persons. The fourth one is morality principle. The law promotes personal morality. It is usually based on religious beliefs. And the fifth one is donation principle. The government makes some laws to grant some goods and services to some citizens. It may be persons, it may be groups or organizations. This makes and creates unfair and undue benefits for these citizens. And the last one says the status principle. Law is there to protect government from harm and to increase its power for its own sake. The law can be dangerous for democracy if wrongly applied. For example, when there is prohibition of criticism from the people or opposition. So the status principle is telling us that the law is there to protect the government from the people, either through criticism or opposition. So these are the 7 principles or the 7 reasons for having law. The first one is to protect us, to protect an individual. Everything is generalized on protection. The law is just there to protect everybody from harm. It's also there to also protect the government from harm, and it also increase the power of the government for its own sake. Let's come to the sources of law. What are the sources of law? Sources of law are the origins of law. Now, the binding rules that enable any state to govern its territory. So, the perceived authenticity of a source of law may rely on a choice of analysis. The reason of a choice of law has to rely on a specific analysis. That's data. That's jurisprudential analysis. As before a law can be put in place, things must be analyzed to enable to know how the extent of the law and to what extent will the law covers. Now, the first sources of law is custom. Over decades and centuries, principles of law have been derived from customs. The divine right of kings, natural and legal rights, human rights, civil rights, and common law are unwritten sources of law. Now, from the centuries, the decades ago, principles of law have been derived from custom, that the custom of the people, the kings, the princess, the queen of the land. The king will be the one to bring up any law or to implement, to enforce any law. Now, these are the sources of law: the kings, the nature and legal rights of people, the human rights of people, the civil rights of people, the common law. Those are the general sources of law. We also have religion. Canon law and other forms of law, of religious law, form the basis for law derived from religious practice and doctrines, or from sacred texts. This source of law is important where there is a state religion. Now, law can also be derived from religion. Every community, every society, every nation, they have a set of religion they follow. You understand? So the law can also be derived from the religion. We have the judicial system. Historical or judicial precedent and case law can modify or even create a source of law. Like the judicial system of our country can create in forms of law. They can be sources of law. They can come up with any form of law to protect its citizens against harm, against any disease or sicknesses. It depends on what is on ground. Now, the legislature, rules and regulations
Please be patient. Your lecturer is having network issue. Just hold on for her, please. Please hold on, we are waiting for your lecture. We're so sorry for the break in transmission. Sorry, just hold on. Mrs. Ruth, please just unmute yourself and continue your class.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Yemi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Please share your material. We are waiting. We can see your screen, but please share your material.
Okay, thank you. Can you see my material, my slide? Okay, let me go back to sources of law.
Yes, we can see your material now.
I've explained it before, but let me just go through it again. Now, there are different types or sources of law. We have the custom, we have the religion, we have the judicial system, we have the legislature. Now, the custom, the sources of law are the origins of law, where laws are derived from. Now, there are binding rules that enable any state to govern its territory. So there are different forms or types of sources of law. We have the customs. Now, laws can be gotten from culture. It can be gotten from the kings, from the nature, the legal rights, the human rights, civil rights, and also the common law. You understand? Now, in terms of religion, laws can also be gotten from the different forms of religion that the society have. And in every religion, there are different sacred texts. There are different laws or things to do or things not to do. So laws can be gotten from religion. It can be gotten from custom. It can also be gotten from judicial system. Now, historical or judicial precedents and case law can modify or even create a source of law. Now, the judicial system can create a source of law and they can also modify any forms of law. While the legislature, those are the lawgiver, they give out rules and regulations that forms a tangible source of law, which are codified and enforceable. Now, the judicial or the legislature source of law, they are the main source of law. The judicial and the legislature, they are the main source of law, which can be enforced or it can be modified at any time. We have sources from different legal systems. We have the civil law system, the common law system, we have the state law or written constitution. Now, the civil law system, the sole source is the appropriate code, such as the civil code or the criminal code, while the common law system has several sources or have several sources that combined to form the law. I explained the custom, which is part of the common law system. That's law gotten from the divine right of king, the nature, the legal rights of people, the human rights, the civil rights of the masses. Now, the common law, the civil law system, often absorb ideas from the common law and vice versa, while the state law or written constitution may seem to be the prime source of law. The state legislature may amend its constitution provided certain rules are followed. The state law, the written constitution, forms the most important or the primary source of law, and it can be amendments so long a certain rules is followed. Now we have the international law. The international law may take precedence over national law, but international law is mainly made up of conventions and treaties that have been ratified, and anything that can be ratified may be denounced later by the national parliament. Now, the international law, which is law between countries, 2 or 3 countries, now it can be changed at any time. It's only made up of conventions and treaties. Treaties in the sense that to rectify a specific problem within 2 or more countries to amend or fix a particular problem that can benefit 2 countries. That's international law. Let's come to Nigeria. Sources of law in Nigeria. The law of Nigeria is based on the rule of law, the independence of the judiciary, and British common law. Due to the long history of British colonial influence. Now, the common law in the legal system is similar to common law system used in England and other Commonwealth countries. The constitutional framework for the legal system is provided by the Constitution of Nigeria. Below are the component sources of Nigerian law. And the first one is the English law is derived from its colonial past with Britain. We have the customary law, we have the Sharia law. Now, the British law is, or the English law is derived from its colonial past with Britain. That's common law, case law, development since colonial independence. While the customary law, which is derived from indigenous traditional norms and practice. Now, the customary law is derived from our culture, our traditions, our norms, our practice. Now, the Sharia law used in some states in the northern region. The Sharia law is based on a religion aspect. It's based on sacred texts within the Quran. Now, there is a judiciary branch with the Supreme Court regarded as the highest court of the law. Now, let's look at crime. What is crime? A crime is an unlawful act punishable by a state or other authority. No universally accepted definition for it. The most popular view is that crime is created by law, is a category created by law. In other words, something is a crime if declared as such by the relevant and appropriate or applicable law or institution. One proposed definition is that a crime or offense is an act harmful not only to some individuals but also to a community, society, or the state. Such acts are forbidden and punishable by law. So anything that is not defined or declared as crime by the law is not a crime. To steal, if it is not declared as a crime by the law, it's not a crime. So what precisely is a criminal offense? A criminal offense is defined by criminal law of each country. Now, every country has its criminal code, its criminal law, its criminal offense. While many have a catalogue of crimes called the criminal code, in some common law countries, no such comprehensive status exists. Now, the state government has the power to severely restrict one's liberty for committing a crime. In modern society, there are procedures to which investigations and trials must adhere. If found guilty, an offender may be sentenced to a form of reparation, such as a community sentence, or, depending on the nature of their offense, to undergo imprisonment, life imprisonment, or in some cases, execution. Usually, To be classified as a crime, the act of doing something criminal must be accompanied by the intention to do something criminal. Now, while every crime violates the law, not every violation of the law counts as a crime. Breaches of private law are not automatically punishable by the state, but can be enforced through civil procedures. Now, let's go to business crime. Business crime has to do with financial, economic, or corporate crime, usually involving fraud and theft, that is often carried out by sophisticated means. The result is usually economic loss for businesses, investors, and those affected by the action of the perpetrator. Now, examples of business crime, we have the making false statements, false documents, false statements. Now, defraudment, wired fraud, that's fraud through internet, tax evasion, kickback scheme, cheating, impersonation, bank larceny, prevention of competitors or competition, perjury, and conspiracy. All these are criminal or business crimes which are punishable either by the state government or by the appropriate authority. Computer crime is an act performed by a knowledgeable computer user, sometimes referred to as a hacker, that illegally browses or steals a company's or individual's private information. In some cases, this person or group of individuals may be malicious and destroy or otherwise corrupt the computer or data file. Now, computer crimes can be in different ways. They are always referred to as hackers. That's illegally browses or steal a company's or an individual private information. An hacker can hack through your WhatsApp group, get all the data from your WhatsApp group to chat or to defraud you. A hacker can hack into a Facebook of an individual or a group and decided to pass wrong information to your friends and family in order to get money from them. Now, computer crimes affecting businesses. Malware is a code with malicious intent that typically steals data or destroys something in the computer. It is an all-encompassing term that for a variety of cyber threats, including Trojan, virus, and worms. Now, at times, a virus might be passed into a computer system in order to destroy all the data or steal data from the computer. Now, malware is introduced to a system through email attachment, software downloads, or operating system vulnerabilities. 2. Phishing. This is a posting as a request for data from a trusted third person. Phishing attacks are sent via email and ask users to click on a link and enter their personal details. To be safe, always verify any request from institutions that arrives via email over the phone numbers you find independently online or within documentation you've received from that company. Malvertising, that's a way to compromise your system with malicious code that is downloadable or downloaded to your system when you click on an affected advert. Once a user clicks on one of these ads, some types of malware will automatically be downloaded. Any website or web publisher can be subjected to malvertising. That's using adverts to download or to transfer malicious code through your system and through any downloaded file via your system. So if you click on the ad, that's the advert, some type of virus will be downloaded. So all these are part of computer crimes affecting businesses. Now let's look at the next one, which is denial of service attack. This involves the attacker using multiple computers to send the traffic or data that will overload the system, that will overload the system. In many instances, a person might not or may not even realize that his or her computer has been hijacked and is contributing to the DOS attack. All this focuses on disrupting the service to a network. The best way to prevent an additional breach is to keep your system as secured as possible with regular software updates, online security monitoring, and monitoring your data flow to identify any unusual or threatening spike in traffic before they become a problem. And the last one, Rogue software. The designer make pop-up windows and alerts that looks legitimate. These alerts advise the user to download security software, agree to terms, or update their current system in an effort to stay protected. By clicking yes to any of these scenarios, the rogue software is downloaded to the user's computer. For prevention, have a working firewall in your office that protects you and your employees from this type of attack. It is also a good idea to install a trusted antivirus or anti-spyware software program that can detect threats like rogue software. Now, all these five are types of computer crimes: the malware, the phishing, the malvertising, the denial of service, that's attack to deny you to access the necessary network you want, the rogue software. All these are part of or types of computer crimes affecting businesses. For our assignment, we are going to look at okay, before that, let's quickly go through a topic here. Now, how do you start? We are still on business law, which has been defined as all laws that dictate how to form or run a business successfully. Now, these laws governs how to start, how to manage, how to buy, how to close or sell any type of businesses, and how to detect fraud, theft in businesses. So, business law establish the rules that all business should follow. Now, a business person will be generally familiar with business law and also know when to seek the advice of an attorney, that's a lawyer. Now, a business law includes state and federal law as well as administrative regulations. Let's take a look at some of the areas included under business law. That's starting a business, buying a business. But let's just look at starting a business and what to expect. Now, to start a business is different from business law is different from business organization. There are laws regarding how to properly form or run each type. That's run a business or run an organization. Now, this law about entities such as corporations, partnerships, and limited liability companies. For example, let's say I decided to start my own business. I need to decide what type of business I want to start. Will this be a partnership? Will it be a sole proprietorship? Or what paper do I need to file in order to start this business? All these questions falls under the law that governs business entity, which are the state law. Now, all this type of entity will also affect how I pay my federal income taxes. These, of course, are federal law. Next, what will my business be called? Let's say I decided on Bimseli Enterprises as a name for my business or for a company. Now I need to know if anyone else already has that name. This is a trademark question. So all these are what you should know in business. But because of our time, we are going to stop here. But I want you to write on the basis for international and negligent tort liability. What are the bases? In short, write in details what is all about, what international and negligent tort liability is all about. You see it there on the screen. Basis for international and negligent tort liability. Basis for international and negligent tort liability. You can submit it to my private mail, bimseli@yahoo.com, 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 bieli, sorry, bimseli, bimseli. Thank you for your time. We are going to meet in our next class. That's next week. God's willing. Bye.